Hi, my friends. Today I want to present you a new story. Enjoy watching it. The rain was relentless that night, each drop hitting the pavement like a small dagger. I trudged through the city streets, my mind weighed down by the recent breakup with Lillian. The ache in my chest was unbearable, a constant reminder of the future I had lost. The doctor's words echoed in my mind. "You are infertile, Douglas. You will never be able to have biological children." Lillian's departure had only deepened that wound, leaving me hollow and despairing. As I passed by a dimly lit alley, I noticed a figure huddled against the wall, a small bundle in her arms. My heart clenched at the sight of a homeless woman and her baby. The woman looked up, her eyes meeting mine, filled with a mixture of fear and desperation. I couldn't just walk away. "Hey," I called out gently, approaching her. "Do you need some help?" She hesitated, then nodded slowly. "My name is Antonia," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "And this is Piper." "Douglas," I introduced myself. "Why don't you come with me? I have a spare room you can stay in for the night." Antonia looked at me, uncertainty in her eyes. "Are you sure? We don't want to be a burden." "You're not a burden," I assured her. "Let's get you and Piper out of this rain." Back at my apartment, I prepared some tea while Antonia settled Piper down in the guest room. The baby's soft coos filled the silence, and for the first time in a long while, my home felt alive. Over tea, Antonia shared snippets of her story. She had been living on the streets after losing her job and her apartment. Piper's father had abandoned them when he learned of the pregnancy. As I listened, I felt a deep sense of empathy and an inexplicable connection. I had been drowning in my own despair, but seeing Antonia's strength sparked something within me. That night, I lay in bed, my thoughts swirling. Perhaps there was still a purpose for me, a way to find meaning in my shattered life. The following morning, I woke to the sound of Piper's laughter. It was a sweet, innocent sound that filled the apartment with warmth. I found Antonia in the kitchen, trying to prepare breakfast with Piper in her arms. "Good morning," I greeted, taking in the domestic scene. It felt strangely comforting. "Morning," Antonia replied, offering a shy smile. "I hope you don't mind, I was just trying to make some breakfast." "Not at all," I said, stepping in to help. Together, we prepared a simple meal and sat down to eat. Piper, with her wide eyes and toothless grin, was a beacon of joy. Her presence was a stark contrast to the emptiness that had consumed me for so long. Over the next few days, Antonia and Piper became a part of my daily routine. Antonia was determined to find a job and a place of her own. But I insisted they stay until she was back on her feet. It wasn't just for her sake. I needed them as much as they needed me. One evening, after Piper had fallen asleep, Antonia and I sat in the living room, the glow of the fireplace casting shadows on the walls. She told me more about her past, the hardships she had faced, and the dreams she had for Piper's future. Listening to her, I felt a surge of protectiveness. "You don't have to do this alone," I said. "Let me help you." Antonia looked at me, tears welling in her eyes. "Why are you so kind to us, Douglas?" I took a deep breath, feeling a lump form in my throat. "Because I know what it's like to feel hopeless," I admitted, "and because in some strange way, you and Piper have given me a reason to keep going." That night, as I lay in bed, I realized that my despair was slowly being replaced by a new sense of purpose. The shadows of my past were still there, but they no longer felt insurmountable. Antonia and Piper were bringing light into my life, one small precious moment at a time. Weeks turned into months, and Antonia and Piper became a fixture in my life. We'd established a comfortable routine, sharing meals and laughter, and slowly but surely, a bond formed between us. I found myself looking forward to coming home each day, eager to see Piper's delighted expression and hear Antonia's voice. One crisp autumn afternoon, Antonia and I took Piper to the park. The leaves had turned brilliant shades of red and gold, creating a picturesque backdrop. Piper giggled as she played in the fallen leaves, her laughter infectious. "She's so full of life," I remarked, watching Piper with a smile. "She is," Antonia agreed, her eyes softening as she watched her daughter. "Thank you, Douglas, for everything. I don't know where we would be without you." "I should be the one thanking you," I said, turning to face her. "You've brought so much joy into my life. Both of you have." Antonia reached out and took my hand, squeezing it gently. "We're in this together," she said. "We can support each other." In that moment, I felt a profound connection with Antonia. It was more than just gratitude. It was the beginning of something deeper, something that had the potential to heal both our wounded hearts. As the days passed, we continued to grow closer. Antonia found a job at a local bakery, and I took on the role of babysitter for Piper while she worked. Piper's presence filled my days with laughter and warmth, her innocent joy a balm for my soul. One evening, as we sat together after dinner, Antonia looked at me with a serious expression. "Douglas, I want to pay rent and contribute to the household expenses. You've done so much for us, and it's time I gave back." I shook my head, smiling. "You don't need to worry about that. Your presence here is more than enough." "But I insist," she said firmly. "I want to feel like I'm contributing, like I'm not just a burden." "You're not a burden," I assured her. "But if it makes you feel better, we can work something out." We agreed on a modest contribution, and I could see the relief in Antonia's eyes. It was important to her to regain her independence and sense of self-worth. Supporting her in that journey became my new purpose, and it gave me a sense of fulfillment I hadn't felt in years. As winter set in, the bond between Antonia and me grew stronger. We spent our evenings by the fire, talking about our hopes and dreams. Piper, now more comfortable and secure, was thriving. Her laughter echoed through the apartment, a constant reminder of the life we were building together. One snowy evening, after putting Piper to bed, Antonia and I sat on the couch, sipping hot cocoa. The flickering fire cast a warm glow, creating an intimate atmosphere. Antonia looked at me, her eyes reflecting the dancing flames. "Douglas, can I ask you something?" she said softly. "Of course," I replied, my heart skipping a beat. "Do you ever think about what might happen in the future? With us, I mean." I took a deep breath, my heart pounding in my chest. "I do," I admitted. "Every day." Antonia's eyes widened in surprise. "You do?" "Yes," I said, reaching out to take her hand. "Antonia, you become so important to me. You and Piper. I can't imagine my life without you." Tears welled in her eyes as she squeezed my hand. "I feel the same way, Douglas." But I was afraid to say anything, afraid to ruin what we have. "You could never ruin this," I said, my voice filled with conviction. "I love you, Antonia, and I love Piper. I want to be a part of your lives for as long as you'll have me." Antonia's tears spilled over and she leaned in, pressing her lips to mine in a tender, heartfelt kiss. It was a kiss filled with unspoken promises and the weight of our shared experiences. In that moment, I knew that we had both found something truly special. As we pulled away, Antonia rested her head on my shoulder, and I wrapped my arms around her. We sat in silence, the warmth of the fire and our newfound love enveloping us. For the first time in a long time, I felt at peace, knowing that I had found my place in the world. The months that followed were transformative. Antonia and Piper had seamlessly become a part of my life, filling the void that had seemed insurmountable. My once cold and silent apartment now hummed with laughter and warmth. Piper's giggles echoed through the halls, and the scent of Antonia's cooking wafted from the kitchen. It was as if the house itself had come alive, reflecting the newfound joy and purpose in my heart. One crisp autumn evening, after a particularly delightful dinner, we sat together in the living room. Piper was nestled on a blanket, playing with a set of colorful blocks. Antonia and I shared the couch, her hand resting comfortably in mine. The fire crackled, casting a golden glow that danced across the room. "I've been thinking," I began, breaking the comfortable silence. Antonia turned to me, her eyes filled with curiosity. "About the future, about us." She smiled, her eyes softening. "I've been thinking about that too." Taking a deep breath, I continued, "I know we've been through a lot, and I know it hasn't been easy, but I can't imagine my life without you and Piper. You've given me a reason to wake up in the morning, a purpose I thought I'd lost forever." Antonia squeezed my hand, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "You've done the same for us, Douglas. You've given us a home, stability, and so much love. I never thought we'd find this kind of happiness again." "I want to make it official," I said, my voice trembling with emotion. I want us to be a family in every sense of the word. Will you marry me, Antonia?" Her eyes widened in surprise, and for a moment, she was speechless. Then, with a radiant smile, she nodded. "Yes, Douglas. Yes, I will marry you." We embraced, the moment filled with a profound sense of rightness. Piper, sensing the joy, crawled over to us and babbled happily, making us both laugh. It was perfect, imperfectly perfect, and it was ours. The following months were a whirlwind of preparations. We planned a small, intimate wedding, wanting to celebrate our union with the few people who mattered most. Friends and colleagues, who had seen the transformation in me, offered their congratulations and support. It was heartwarming to see how our love had inspired others. On a bright spring day, we stood in a beautifully decorated garden, surrounded by blooming flowers and our closest friends. Piper, dressed in a little white dress, toddled around with a flower crown on her head, bringing smiles to everyone's faces. Antonia looked stunning in her simple, elegant gown, her eyes shining with love and happiness. As we exchanged vows, I couldn't help but reflect on the journey that had brought us here. From that fateful night in the rain to this moment of profound joy, it had been a path filled with challenges and heartache, but also with unexpected blessings and unending love. I promise to love and cherish you, Antonia, and to be the best father I can be to Piper, I said, my voice thick with emotion. You have brought light into my life, and I will spend the rest of my days making sure you both know how much you mean to me. Antonia's voice trembled as she replied, I promise to stand by your side, Douglas, through all of life's ups and downs. You are the love I never expected to find, and together, we will create a beautiful future for Piper and ourselves. The officiant pronounced us husband and wife, and we shared a tender kiss, sealing our vows. Our friends and family erupted in cheers, and Piper clapped her hands, joining in the celebration. As we walked down the aisle, hand in hand, with Piper between us, I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. Life had thrown its hardest challenges at us, but we had emerged stronger and more united. Antonia and Piper had not just entered my life, they had transformed it, turning despair into hope and loneliness into a profound sense of belonging. Our new life was filled with its own set of challenges, but we faced them together with love and resilience. Antonia found a job that she loved, allowing her to contribute to our family while pursuing her passions. Piper continued to grow, her laughter and curiosity a constant source of joy. One evening, as we sat together on the porch, watching Piper play in the yard, Antonia turned to me and said, Douglas, thank you for everything, for taking us in, for loving us, and for giving us a future I never dared to dream of. I smiled, my heart full. I should be the one thanking you, Antonia. You and Piper saved me. You gave me a reason to live and love again. Together, we created something beautiful. And as we sat there, with the sun setting and the promise of a new day ahead, I knew that whatever the future held, we would face it together as a family.